there has just been a lot going on right now on the homestead. We have guinea hens that our chicks we're trying to raise up to some size. We have gardening stuff, seeds we're starting, all kinds of things just happening. And it's just hard to get videos out on a regular basis. Some of you guys have noticed I have not put out a video lately or on a regular basis. I just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out again to ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. They got a lot of seed collections. If you are looking for seeds still for the spring, you can get them over at ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. They have seed packs. So like these are like all-in-one kit packs where you can just buy them and then you have everything you'd probably need. So check out all of the different kits. They have a northern seed collection. A lot of us in the south have got our seeds probably started at this point. But if you're up north still, a lot of people, I see you guys, I still got snow on the ground. Okay, if that's you, you still have time to get your seeds for getting a garden in this winter or this summer, this winter. You can find them over at ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. Link in the description below. Okay. So, Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, is it South Dakota or North Dakota? I don't even know which. This has been a painful week watching this whole thing transpire with the dog, and watching obviously all of the left-wing liberals throw a hissy fit about this, but then so many of the conservatives also just, how dare she? And she's ruined her chances for a VP. And I'm just like, what is the big deal here? Guys, this may prove unpopular, but we have shot a lot of dogs here on this homestead. It does happen quite often. If a dog shows up, and I don't know it from my neighbor's dogs because I know my neighbor's dogs, okay? If it's not one of those dogs, that's strike one. If it doesn't have a collar on, meaning a way to identify the dog, strike two. If it messes with my sheep or my chickens, automatic strike three, you're out. And we put you down. We have had dogs show up here from a long distance away, and I don't recognize the dogs, and they don't have a collar on, and they're messing with my sheep. Out, sorry. And then there's been times where we have, in fact, just last year, I think sometime last year, we had a dog show up on the homestead, and it had a collar on. It had a phone number on the collar. And we called it, and the guy lived like an hour away. How his dog got all the way out here, I have no idea. But the guy came out, and Caleb, my youngest son, had a cage and gave it some food and some water, and he showed up, and I think he gave like Caleb $40 as a reward for, taking care of the dog and calling him to come get it. And so he was very grateful. And so we have all kinds of instances where dogs show up. We had a dog show up some years ago where it was biting some of the neighbors. And it was kind of like turned into like this neighborhood dog. It was kind of a friendly dog, but it started biting the neighbors. It had snapped and actually bit one of the neighbors. And the neighbors were like, that's it. It bit one of the neighbors. Get rid of it. I think what was the name of that dog? Fettuccine, or they called it Alfredo. That was it. They named it Alfredo. But it started biting people. I put that dog down. It's like you can't have animals that do not work and play well with others. If they do, that's it. We used to do the same thing for humans. A human being not working and playing well with others, going around stealing, raping, killing. We would take that human being and we would put them at the end of a rope, or the end of a firing squad, or in a chair with electrodes hooked up to them. And then the problem would be solved. But today, we don't do that so much anymore. And, well, look at the world around us. Look at our college campuses these days, where people have absolutely no worry in the world about consequences for one's actions. That's what we have today. There are no consequences for your actions. And I'm sorry, but on a farm, on a homestead, on a ranch, there are ways that you have to get things done. And if there's something that's preventing you from getting things done, you eliminate that problem. You fix that problem. And Kristi Noem, however you say her name, in her case, her book came out, and this was an incident that she described 20 years ago. And the dog was killing the neighbor's chickens that she had to pay for Because if your animals cause your neighbors some sort of distress, you're responsible for that distress. And she did the right thing, and she paid for her neighbor's chickens that the dog killed. It was untrainable. It was dangerous to people. It was dangerous to livestock, and she did the right thing. She made consequences for the actions of that animal. And she put the dog down. I can't believe she didn't find a new home for that chicken-killing, people-biting dog. How horrible is that? It's absolute insanity. I will put down a dog in a second. If you show up on my homestead and we have had people who come to this place and they have a dog and it starts biting their children, and they had to go get one of my friends who lives down the road and asked him, "Hey, can you do me a favor and put the dog down? It's biting our kids and we just can't do it." What? Dude, you bite my kids, it's over. Like before the clock, ticks next. I mean, it's done. You're done. But here's the deal. Here's the conclusion we need to come to. People today are weak. And this collapse, because it's coming, you're $35 trillion in debt. We have absolutely no moral compass in this country anymore. You're going to collapse. This country cannot stand. When this collapse happens, it's going to shine a giant spotlight on the weak, because the weak will be the first to die. It's just the way it's going to be. And it's going to show who's weak. It's going to show who has the intestinal fortitude to keep on going, to do the necessary hard things to get through certain circumstances that may pop up. The first thing in growing, the first way you grow stronger is you understand, number one, that you're weak, and that you go and take measures to correct that weakness. If you can only do 5 push-ups, that's not a problem. It's not a problem to understand that you're weak. The problem is staying in that state of weakness. So you begin to do push-ups and more push-ups. And before long, you can do 10 push-ups at a time. And you keep going, and before long, you can do 20 push-ups and 40 push-ups. It's painful. It's painful. And I understand that hearing about some of these things for some people can be painful. But we used to have a saying in the military, pain is only weakness leaving the body. And as you're doing those push-ups, that weakness is leaving the body, and it's painful. But sometimes we have to exercise our brain. Sometimes we have to exercise our moral compass to get it functioning correctly. We have lost that in our world today by a long shot. Understand that you're weak. Understand that the only way you get that weakness out of your body is to refocus and understand that there are some things in this world that just aren't the way they should be. I have told people multiple times, and I've said it on my channel, the most valuable skill you can have as a homesteader is to learn how to be a butcher. The most valuable skill is to learn how to be a butcher. Learn how to butcher your animals. The reason it's valuable, the reason it's the most valuable, is because understanding value equates to rarity. When something is rare, it becomes valuable. And in this Disneyfied culture that we live in today, it's very, very rare for someone to be like, yeah, I can butcher an animal. I can take a cow, or I can take a lamb, or I can take a goat or a chicken and butcher that animal, lead it into the pasture, and do what needs to be done so that I can take the right proper steps to transfer that animal from pasture to freezer. But a lot of people are like, oh, Zach, I just can't do that. How do you do that? It's like taking a box of crackers off the shelf in my pantry. I don't have a box of crackers. Well, actually, I have some Mott's up there. Back in the day when I ate crackers, when they weren't all made with soy and yellow 5 and red 40 and all the other garbage stuff they're putting in things today. Yes, I used to have crackers. And there was no difference between taking a box of crackers off the shelf and leading that lamb into the gambrel and doing what needs to be done. But if you can't do that, it means you're weak. And the only way you fix that weakness is to learn the skills needed to do that and then do them often so they become second nature for you. See, it's hard for you to do a push-up when you've never done a push-up before. But see, once you've been doing push-ups for a long time, it's no big deal to sit down and knock out 20 push-ups, knock out 40 push-ups. It's the same thing. We have a bunch of weak pansies living in this country today who don't understand what it's like to live on a farm, what it's like to live on a ranch, and what it's like for every animal on that farm or ranch to have a job and a purpose. And if they're not doing that job and purpose, to fix the problem. It's the same way we have society today. We have a whole bunch of people out there with no purpose, with no job, and they're causing all kinds of issues in society, and we don't have the intestinal fortitude, the moral compass any longer to deal with those problems and make them go away the way they need to go away. And until we get to that point again, weak men create hard times. Until we get to the point where we have some strong men again, we're not going to fix that problem. It's going to get harder and harder. I kind of felt bad this week. I think we need someone in office who can make strong decisions like Christy did for her farm and ranch. If you have an animal that's not being trained, cannot be trained, and it's not working and playing well with others, in fact, it's causing distress for your neighbors and for yourself, she had the intestinal fortitude and the willingness to do what needed to be done to put down that animal. That's the kind of people we need in office. Now, I don't think it needs to be Christy. I think that there are certain... Now, this is really... If I haven't made you mad yet, hold on to your hats. Take a look at what's happened with Sarah Palin. Take a look at what's happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene. What's that woman in Colorado? Ever since they've been in office, their families are complete disasters. All 3 women are divorced. All 3 women have kids who have had out of wedlock pregnancies and all kinds of issues. It's a complete disaster. Mom, you need to stay at home and take care of the home front. That's your job. That's what you were designed to do. That's what no man can do. We don't have that ability to be that encourager and that nurturer. And we put these women in politics and we wonder why their families are complete disasters because they're not doing what they're designed to do. And the men aren't doing what they're designed to do either because they've lost their intestinal fortitude. They've lost their willingness to do the hard things in order to pander to votes, and they're compromised and they're, doing all of these things they shouldn't be doing. So now have I made you mad? Folks, this collapse is going to show who the weaklings are. It's coming. And so if we're seeing it already, we're seeing the collapse and we're seeing who the weaklings are. A lot of interesting things happening on college campuses right now. We're watching that and, will that spread? Who knows? It's going to be a fun Summer of Love. That's what I think. Hey guys, check out our merchandise over at teespring.com. You can find some of our Farm Fresh Butt Nugget shirts. Also, our most popular shirt, our favorite shirt, Stupid You Hurt. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful lot less people acting crazy on college campuses. Also, right now over at patreon.com, we just got done doing a series. In fact, I have one more video to put out on the series of butchering. And so I'm also going to take you out on a tour of our gambrel and what we have out there so I can show you guys how we do that. But we're going through this book and we're making some videos on that. So that's over at patreon.com. Plus, there's a really great video over there, access to patrons only, who can watch us take apart an entire cow. And I talk how we went through that process and what that process entails. So it's only available to patrons, and it goes along with this series here, as well as our herbal extracts books, which I give you guys the PDF downloads for. A lot of you guys are printing these out. These do not tell you how to make tinctures. They tell you what to do with them. This is 100-year-old, out of print, out of copyright material that the pharmaceuticals have done a bang-up job of getting rid of because they don't want you to know what you can do with these things. In fact, I'm getting ready to go out there and harvest some herbs that I'm going to be using for urinary tract infections. Not that I get those at all, but I mean, it does come up from time to time. You hear about people getting those, and so I want to have a tincture on hand to be able to deal with that. And so I'm going to do that here soon. I may do a video on it for the patrons. Just lots of different tinctures that I'm trying to stock up on as things come in to season, and I'm building up my tincture base. And now I know what to do with them because I have these books. So if you bought these books on Amazon, they'd cost you about $800 for one and $900 for the other. It's because of the valuable information contained within. All right, guys. Love you. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. Have you ever gone to a health food store and seen all those small bottles of probiotics in your cooler section? Man, can they be pricey. Are you really getting all you need to improve your gut health from those expensive bottles? How viable are they? Most of those products claim to give you between 8 and 15 strains of gut-healthy healing bacteria. Think of each strain of bacteria as a different factory in your gut. Each factory is responsible for breaking down that food in its own way. The more factories you have, the more the food is broken down and the easier the food is absorbed and digested by the body. A 2018 study published by the National Library of Medicine shows that one fermented head of cabbage can produce up to 114 strains of beneficial bacteria. That's a lot more food factories than you're getting from that expensive pill bottle. And that's just cabbage. Imagine the probiotics when you add garlic, onions, pepper, and more to that ferment. PerfectPickler.com and its home fermentation kits provide you with everything you need to get started making your own gut-healthy food factories from the comfort of your own kitchen. PerfectPickler.com even provides a jam-packed recipe book with many of our kits. Visit PerfectPickler.com and start fermenting your own veggies to begin your journey to better gut health. That's PerfectPickler.com.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.